Hey y'all, welcome to Peyton Energetics. I'm Peyton and I'm a Pleiadian channel and starseed coach. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a very special category of starseed, and that is starseeds who are known as transmuters. Now, I've done several videos on transmuters over the past year or two, but today we're going to talk about something that we haven't talked about before, and that is training for transmuters. Because, as we have mentioned in the previous transmuter videos, if you are someone who is a transmuter of energy, there are certain special training needs that you probably have. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about some of those special training needs of transmuters and walk you through a little bit of how I approach training my transmuter clients to give you a sense of some things that might be very helpful to you if you're a transmuter of energy. Now, before we jump into talking about transmuters, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. Now, when we talk about transmuters, what are we even talking about? Well, as we talked about in the previous transmuter videos, and I'm not going to go way down the rabbit hole on what transmuters are because we covered those pretty thoroughly in the past videos, and I'm going to link those past videos at the top of the screen throughout this video, so you can go back and watch those videos if you need that background information. If you need to know what a transmuter is and how to figure out if you are one. So we're not going to go back over all of that in today's video because we're going to be focusing on the special training needs of transmuters. Now, if y'all have watched my videos, you know one thing that I am all about is helping you guys do this yourself. And so whenever possible, I like to give you all the tools to do this work and get your own answers. But there are a few situations where the DIY path is not always the best way to go about things. And that is certainly the case if you are a transmuter. This is one of those categories where it can be very worth your while to get formal training. So we're going to dive into why that is in today's video. Now, just a quick summary if you missed the previous transmuter videos, or if it's just been a minute and you don't really remember what we were talking about in those past videos. What are we talking about when we talk about a transmuter? Well, when I use this term, I'm generally talking about a starseed. And again, a starseed is just someone who has a lot of galactic energy. So essentially, starseeds are humans who are just operating on a slightly different radio station, a different frequency than the rest of the planet. So because of that, starseeds have very unusual energies. It's a very different vibration than the average human. It's a much higher frequency and it has more galactic energy. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about a starseed. Now, within the category of a starseed, starseeds often tended before they came to Earth to be of service in different ways. And one of the ways that certain starseeds are of service is by doing something that we call transmuting energy. Now, this is something that all humans do. Even if we don't know about it, have no idea about all of these spiritual topics that we talk about in these videos, humans naturally transmute energy, even if we don't know we're doing it. But when we talk about transmuters, we are talking about people who are doing this at a whole nother level. So transmuters are starseeds who bring massive amounts of energy into their physical body, transmute or purify and neutralize that energy, and convert it to higher vibrational energy. So you can think of transmuters as starseeds who are cleansing the energy of the planet. And a lot of times transmuters are working with huge volumes of energy. That's what makes transmuters have very special training needs, is because they are just operating on a whole nother level. So when we talk about transmuters, that's what we're talking about. Transmuters tend to bring in the negative energy on the planet, and they will all do this in very unique ways. They take that energy into their physical bodies, moving it through their body in a specific and unique way, and purifying and neutralizing that negative energy. Now, if you think about what it must be like if you are bringing all of the negativity of the world into your physical body, you can start to see the problem. So one of the things that tends to be a pretty big issue for a lot of transmuters is that this is massive work and it can really beat up the physical body. And that is one of the number one signs that you may be a transmuter of energy, is if you have experienced throughout your life really serious issues with the body. That is kind of one of the main hallmarks that someone's a transmuter of energy. Now, of course, this is going to cover a huge scale as we talk about different transmuters because we can transmute at different levels. So some transmuters are what we can think of as being partial transmuters, meaning they are transmuters of energy somewhat, but they're also working with energy in different ways. Maybe they are also a grid worker or a resonator or an anchor or someone who is here to channel. So these are ways that you can be a partial transmuter. But on the other end of the scale, we have transmuters who are what the Pleiadians refer to as pure transmuters. And that means this is their sole job, so to speak, because our soul missions are always things that are just intentions. This is not something you have to be a slave to, do 24/7, or quit your day job, but it is something that you intended and set a very powerful intention to do before you came into this lifetime. So transmuters cover a wide scale, but one of the things that separates them from your average person is that they're moving huge volumes of energy through the body. And what happens, as you can imagine, this is really stressful on the physical body. So transmuters have often spent a lot of their life suffering in the body. That's one of the signs that you may be a transmuter. And this suffering can take many forms. It can mean that you have had just illness after illness, or that you have just always felt bad. Maybe just anxiety, stress, overwhelm. That's another way that this shows up very often. Or it can manifest in ways like mysterious illnesses. Things that no one can tell what is going on and what is wrong, but you feel terrible. This comes in lots of different flavors, lots of different colors, but it tends to kind of come down to that issues with the body. And one of the reasons why the body becomes such an issue for a lot of transmuters is that transmuters are running huge amounts of energy through the body. We're just working the body really, really hard. And so if we don't know how to do this properly, what can happen? Not great things in the physical body. So one of the reasons that I'm talking about transmuters in videos lately is we are seeing an explosion of transmuters on the planet right now. This may be something that has never crossed your path before, and all of a sudden you're thinking, this might sound like you. So we are going from seeing very few transmuters, and over my years of teaching and coaching starseeds, I had only seen about a handful of transmuters. And lately, there has been an absolute explosion. And when I asked the guides what was happening with this, what was going on, they said that transmuters are being awakened at a global level. You are being called into action if you are a transmuter. And one of the reasons for that is what we are going through on the planet right now, which looks a bit like a dumpster fire. And what is happening is, as we now see our collective shadow on full display, transmuters are being called to break down that energy. So transmuters are the ones who are doing the heavy lifting. They are processing and integrating all of the negative energy of humanity, humanity's shadow. And this is a huge job. So without proper training, this can be very, very stressful for transmuters. And they may not realize what is causing the stress. You may be experiencing a lot of pain and discomfort and suffering that you can't really put your finger on. A lot of times this will look like something that doesn't really match what's going on in your life. So you kind of look at it and you're like, gosh, this doesn't make sense. Why do I feel so bad? This is one of the things that might be happening. So for this reason, because transmuters are doing such huge energy work for the planet right now, and you are doing this work if you're a transmuter, even if you don't know you are, and that's when the path can be the bumpiest, is when we don't know how to do this work comfortably. Because let's face it, you are just moving more energy than anyone else, and your body doesn't know what to do with that. So this can burn out the body. So one of the reasons that I've been talking in these videos about the importance of formal training for transmuters is because with some simple tools and training, you can move this energy through your body much more comfortably. Because if you are bouncing around right now with what is happening in the world, bringing all of that energy in through your physical body, without proper tools and training, this can be disastrous for the physical body. So transmuters are starting to feel this. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the training that can help you if you're a transmuter. Some of those tools that can make all the difference in how comfortably you do this work, because you're gonna do this work. It's just a question of how comfortably and easily do you do it. Because as you have probably seen, doing it without a really solid set of energy tools, kind of a risky proposition. But you always can. We always have the free will to choose how we are going to go about these things. But today I'm going to give you some ideas for training. And I'm going to walk you through how I work with my Transmuter clients and students and some of the things that I think are most important for Transmuters to know how to do. So let's dive in. Now, when we talk about training for Transmuters, of course, as with anything in the world, it is possible to do this yourself. But here's why that's not a great idea. One of the things that is tricky for Transmuters and that kind of sets them apart from any other starseed. And whenever I am talking about starseeds and particular types of starseeds and their gifts and abilities, I'm never coming from the perspective of ego. So we're not saying that anyone is better than anyone because they are this type of starseed or that type of starseed. We are purely talking energetics. So really important to keep our ego mind on its leash as we talk about this, because it's easy for our ego mind to get all blustery and think that this means that we are special. But that's not what we're talking about when we talk about starseeds. So when we talk about doing this yourself and trying to figure out how to be a transmuter all on your own, of course, you can do it. But one of the things that is complicated about that is that it's very difficult to see your own energy. Unless you are someone who has spent years in intuitive training, training to be a medium, training to be a channel, seeing your own energy is pretty challenging for the average person. So that's one of the reasons that I always encourage transmuters to get formal training, to have someone else who can look at your energy field and tell you what you're doing, and who can diagnose where energy is not moving properly through you, tell you how much energy you are moving through your body, and how you are doing it. Because as I have studied lots of transmuters over the years, I'm finding that everyone is unique. I have worked with transmuters who move energy through their bodies in ways I didn't think was possible. So transmuters are very unique in how they work with energy. And so one of the things that can be complicated about trying to do this yourself is you don't know what you're doing. It's just very hard for us to see that for ourselves. So it can be very helpful to work with someone who can look at that for you. So that's one of the things that I do with all of my transmuter clients is we do a deep dive in looking at how you move energy. What is unique about how you are transmuting? And that gives us a lot of data. So what that tells us is how much energy you're moving through. Are you a partial transmuter or are you a full transmuter? We look at the volume of energy coming through because as you can imagine, the more energy you are pulling through your physical body, the harder it is on the body. And so the body struggles to keep up with this volume of energy that is pouring through it 24/7. So one of the reasons it can be helpful to get formal training is you can get that personal snapshot of how you are doing this, because everyone does this differently. So when you try to work with yourself as a transmuter, you can waste a lot of time trying methodologies that don't work for you, trying tools that work for everyone else but not for you. So that's why it can be a little iffy to do it yourself as a transmuter. So that's why formal training can be very worthwhile. So another reason why it can be very helpful to get formal training as a transmuter more than any other starseed is because the tools that work for the average lightworker or starseed often don't work on transmuters. And the reason for this is because transmuters tend to be working on different levels of energy. So a lot of times transmuters are working on global, planetary, and universal level energies. So what happens is if you're using the typical tools that we have in the spiritual community or your basic energy work, you may be using tools that don't work for you. And y'all, this is something I lost a lot of time to, trying to use the average tools that were out there. And turned out they weren't working for me because I ran energy differently as a transmuter. So that's one of the reasons it can be very helpful to work with someone who is looking specifically at how you move energy so that the tools that you're given work for how you operate, because you may be the only one that needs a particular type of tool because of how you move energy. So this is a very, very unique process. There is no one size fits all. So that's one of the reasons why I always encourage transmuters to get formal training. And when I work with you as a transmuter, what I'm looking for is to see your unique energy needs. How do you move energy through your body? How do you transmute? What is the volume of energy you're processing? How much are you bringing into your body? I look to see how you're moving that energy. How are you processing it in your body? Some of us will use the heart chakra to do this, very powerful portal for integrating energy in our bodies. But others will work with different parts of their body. So it's very important to know, okay, where are you processing this? Because that can show us where there's particular strain on the body. Some will work with their solar plexus chakra. Some will move the energy through a combination of chakras. So knowing exactly how you do it is really important. So something that can also be really beneficial in getting personalized training is making sure that the tools that you're using are actually working. Because transmuters tend to be working on different levels of energy than your average person, you need bigger tools. So as you can imagine, if you are bringing into your body 10 or 20 times the amount of energy than the average person, you're going to need bigger tools. You're just working on a different level. And again, we're never saying this from the perspective of ego. We're talking only energetics. So that's one of the reasons why when I teach and coach transmuters, they're all getting a different set of tools because everything has to be tailored to how you move energy. So that's one of the things that the Pleiadians do when I work with my transmuter clients is that they're constantly giving new customized tools that work with that individual's way of processing energy. Because if you are using a one-size-fits-all, it may work, it may not. And one example of this, if you're using just your typical tools that we have in the spiritual community, and that's great that you're even using tools that put you way far ahead of the average person if you're actually having some processes that you're working with on a daily basis. But what can happen is our spiritual tools are meant to primarily deal with personal level energies. All that stuff that we have picked up as baggage over this lifetime. But what happens is, doesn't work on the level of energy that transmuters are working on. So one of the things that you may notice is you're doing the same tools that you've been taught, the same thing that everyone else is getting a great result from, and nothing is happening for you. It's just not working. And this is something that I saw time and time again as I was going through my training. I would do the same thing that everyone else was and not get the results. It just wasn't working. And the reason for that is I was working at a different level of energy. I was moving a different type of energy through my body. So that is something that comes up very often with transmuters. So using your average tools for a transmuter can be kind of a hit or miss proposition. That's one of the signs that you may be a transmuter is if you think you're doing everything you've been taught to do and you're not getting the results that you would expect. Could be you're using a tool that's just not built for you. You're trying to write with the wrong hand. So that's one of the reasons why it's really important as a transmuter to know how you are working, because transmuters are here to work in many different ways. You know, some of us are here to work on global energies. Some of us are here to work on ancestral energies, family energies. Some of us are here to work on the grid systems. And some of us are here to do a combination of everything. So the tools that you need will depend on what you are doing as a transmuter. Now, another reason that it can be very helpful to get formal training as a transmuter is because it's very important for transmuters more than any other starseed or lightworker to have a very balanced, healthy energy field. And we talk about this in the spiritual community as being our aura, our energetic field. And as humans, most of us have a pretty battered energy field, right? As we go through our human life, we suffer all those disappointments, those traumas, those ups and downs of being human. We get a lot of damage to our energy field. So by the time most of us have our spiritual awakening, our energy field is kind of a mess. And so that's not a great thing for any human, whether they are on the spiritual path or not. But it is a particular issue if you are a transmuter because you are bringing in more energy than the average person. So if you are bringing in 10 times more energy than the average person into a damaged energy field, it's that much more stressful on the body. So one example I love to give of our energy field is comparing it to the tire on your car. And so you know how important it is for your tires to be in good condition, right? They just don't work great if they've got a lot of holes in them. So for the average human, if you are operating on a damaged energy field, which almost everyone is, it's kind of like driving on a tire with a leak in it. You can limp along at slow speeds for a while, but you've got a problem that's brewing. Now, imagine if you are a transmuter, that is like driving on that same tire at freeway speeds. You can see the difference. You have a serious problem that is building. So it is only a question of the amount of energy that transmuters are working with that makes everything kind of magnified. So it's particularly important if you're a transmuter to have the proper tools to heal and balance and stabilize that energy field. It is the tire that is supporting you. And our goal as transmuters is to have our energy field do the heavy lifting for us. And your energy field can't do that if it's full of damage. If it is full of negative energy and resistance, negative memories, all of those little rocks of resistance that we have talked about in these videos. So one of the most important things that I work with all my transmuter clients on is teaching you how to heal and balance your energy field. Because again, it is like having that perfect car tire, right? It's really important for everyone to have a clean, balanced energy field, but especially if you're a transmuter, because again, you're putting that much more pressure on it. It's like that difference between driving 10 miles an hour on the street in front of your house and driving at 75 miles an hour on the highway. Your energy field takes more stress than the average person if you're a transmuter. So having a very balanced, stable energy field is something that I work on with all of my transmuter clients, because if you are bringing in all this transmuter energy into a damaged field, it's not going to be great. Now, something else that's really important for transmuters in kind of thinking about what kind of training they want to do for themselves and what kind of tools that they need, it's very important to understand that there is no modality of energy work that is a single step. So this is something that is very advanced energy work. So for that purpose, anyone that is getting training as a transmuter is doing some of the most advanced energy work out there. So as you can imagine, this doesn't happen in a single session. And we know our impatient human minds don't like to hear that, right? We want to think we're going to do a single session and we are going to be all set. But unfortunately, it doesn't really work that way. There is no modality out there that works in a single step. If it did, it would be the only modality out there. So energy work, especially when you are doing work as advanced as transmuter training, takes some time, because what we have to do is we have to get your energy field balanced and healed and stabilized so that you can actually hold it that way, so that you can keep your energy field in a healthy condition every single day. And then as a transmuter, you're learning to work with very advanced energy tools. So the tools that the Pleiadians are bringing through for my clients right now who are transmuters are extremely advanced, extremely powerful tools. And because of that, it takes some time to build up your energetic tolerance to doing this level of energy work. So this is something that it takes a little time for transmuters to get up and running, to be doing this in a way that's really comfortable and easy on the body. So it's always important for any modality or training that you're considering in energy work to understand it's not a light switch. I like to compare it to being a gym membership. You know you're not going to do one workout and have a six-pack. We would all love for that to be the case, but it doesn't really work like that. So retraining your energy field and learning some of these really powerful transmuter tools takes some time to work into. It's like that gym membership. But as you get stronger and learn how to really be in control of your energy, the really amazing upside to being a transmuter is you become a master with energy. Because first of all, you can handle so much more energy than the average person. And again, we are not saying this from the perspective of ego or making it sound like anyone is better than anyone else. We're just talking about energy, about the ability to process energy through the body. And while being a transmuter certainly has its downsides, and we've talked about those, the upside is once you learn how to really work with energy as a transmuter, the guides like to say you can bend reality to your will. And they just gave me chills when they said that because it sounded so amazing. So as a transmuter, once you get proper training, get your energy field healed and balanced so that it's supporting you, which is always our goal with our energy field, and then learn some of these very powerful customized transmuter tools. The Pleiadians like to say transmuters can shift timelines for the entire collective. That is the level of mastery that is available to you. And of course, this is available to everyone. Everyone has this path forward. But for transmuters, working with large amounts of energy is what you're designed to do. So there is an upside to it that go with its very obvious downsides, which is rough on the body. So whenever I work with transmuter clients and train transmuters, these are the things that I am teaching transmuters, is to balance and stabilize that energy field. You can't accomplish much if you're driving on a flat tire. So for transmuters, this is particularly important to really have a healthy, strong energy field so that your energy field is doing the work for you. You want to take that stress off the physical body. Then, very important to know, how are you working as a transmuter? Because again, we're all unique. And I have seen transmuters do some things that I would have said I thought was impossible. So transmuters are doing very, very unique things. And it's important that your tools be customized to that. Otherwise, you're trying to write with your right hand when you're left-handed. And then finally, very important for transmuters to have specialized tools to move energy so that you are routing all this energy that you are taking in, whether you're conscious of it or not, it's working this way anyway, so that you're moving this through your body effectively. Because as you can imagine, if you're just bringing all this stuff in, especially with the energies we see in the world right now, y'all, this is not a time for someone who works at a transmuter level to just be soaking up everything out there. That's not going to be a great thing. So this can be particularly important for transmuters right now to get proper training. And I just wanted to give you all a little snapshot of how I train transmuters in case you are looking to get some help with doing this, which can be a really great idea if you resonate with the idea of being a transmuter. And now you understand a little bit what that training can look like. And again, this is just something that I've put together over the years of working with the Pleiadians and working with transmuters. And this can be really helpful to a lot of transmuters to take a lot of the stress of being a transmuter off that physical body. Because it really can just wear out the body if we are just running around like little energy sponges, which is, of course, what we're doing. So if you are looking to do some transmuter training and want to work with me, I will throw the link to do that in the description. So just reach out to me and now you'll have an understanding of what that looks like. And while you're down there, don't forget, hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't done that yet. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.